Hi and welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave in the comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. The WWE Draft 2020 is complete. Both nights now are here. You're going to get every draft pick, every superstar on which show they were given on this video. SmackDown, of course, was last week. We're going to just touch on that for the first 45 seconds or so of the video. And you could skip ahead if you want to go straight to Raw. It'll be in the chapter section below. And I'm looking forward to going through every draft pick with you on this video. But just to quickly recap then what happened on SmackDown last week, of course, here on your screen right now is what the movers were. Just a quick go through some of the top draft picks for both shows and some of the superstars that moved over. Of course, Raw keeping their WWE champion Drew McIntyre, their women's champion in Asuka, their United States champion Lashley, of course, with the Hurt Business. Some of the acquisitions that Raw managed to get from SmackDown as well, including AJ Styles, Naomi, which I thought was quite a surprise at the time. Of course, they got The Miz and John Morrison, of course, as well, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Of course, they were SmackDown Tag Team Champions at the time, breaking up the New Day, arguably the biggest story amongst that. Tucker as well ended up as well on Raw, which broke up Heavy Machinery. You look at SmackDown, the top draft picks there. Roman Reigns, of course, the Universal Champion. Sasha Banks. They acquired Seth Rollins from Raw, as well as that getting Bianca Belair, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, and we've already mentioned about the New Day there. Otis also going solo going forward, and Murphy was taken there to SmackDown from Raw, and Kalisto, which effectively breaks up the Lucha House Party. Of course, as well, we had some undrafted names, but they were given some brands over the weekend as well. So Mickie James and Shorty G will be on SmackDown. So Mickie James moving over from Raw. Lindsay Dorado and Gran Metalik will be on Raw going forward, no longer on SmackDown. So that is effectively broken up the Lucha House Party. They've even suggested Dorado and Metalik on an exclusive interview with WWE.com that they actually may even have a new name and new entrance music. So that'll be interesting to see how they'll be going forward. So effectively, it's a shame we never really saw a payoff with that storyline, but I mean, they're on to pastures new. It'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out. But on to Monday night's Raw draft picks. I'm going to go through each and every one of those for you now. If you want to know my feelings on those SmackDown ones in more depth, there is a video available for you now. Let's go then to night 2, shall we, of the WWE draft. Of course, that was Monday Night Raw last night, and every mover, every draft pick from that show is now going to be discussed in depth with you right now, giving my opinions of what I felt of every move on the draft. And we're going to start then. Raw had, remember, 3 drafts to SmackDown's every 2, Raw being an extra hour long. The Raw wasted no time. The number 1 draft pick taken from Friday Night SmackDown was the Fiend Bray Wyatt. And I must admit, I am delighted by this move. The Fiend moving to Monday nights. I just feel it's a better fit. I feel that that dark, mysterious character feels better and more suited to Monday Night Raw. It just feels like it goes hand in hand for me. As well, let's not forget, The Fiend was rumoured to be going babyface to actually take on Roman Reigns, which I just feel a face Fiend for me just didn't quite connect. I wasn't really feeling it. This way, I feel The Fiend on Raw will be a heel. I feel that he'll probably face Drew McIntyre somewhere down the line. For me, this just ticks all the boxes. I really want to see this. And when we say about The Fiend versus Drew McIntyre, that's WrestleMania worthy. I'd love that to be at the WrestleMania next year. I think that would be an awesome move. This, for me, was a great start to the draft last night. SmackDown's first pick, unsurprisingly, as I thought it would go, Bayley was the top pick there. Of course, SmackDown, not all their champions were drafted. They were losing championships as well. Championships must have been the priority for them. So to start off getting, of course, their longest reigning champion on their show, which was Bayley. She won it on the premiere last year, I believe, on the draft as well, been the champion the whole way through. It was essential SmackDown kept Bayley, and as well, Bayley versus Sasha. Who knows? It could go beyond Hell in a Cell now. These two are on the same show going for the foreseeable future. Raw, of course, then picked Randy Orton. This made perfect sense. Randy Orton, remember, he's got a WWE Championship match against Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell. You want to make sure that whoever walks away as champion, Randy could do it, and you want to make sure that that title stays on Monday night. So this one made perfect sense. The Street Profits were then drafted to SmackDown. Again, well, as Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston of the New Day were moved to Raw, SmackDown needed some tag team champions. Now, let's be fair, it didn't really make sense. They just passed an exchange over belts, which had to be, well, a bit lame really as a way to actually have the Street Profits now as your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and of course Kofi and Xavier with the Raw Tag Team Champions. I understand that with the brand, they should keep those belts, but it just felt a very lame way that it was dealt with. But Street Profits, it's going to feel fresh on SmackDown. I like the fact that they're, I feel that with Bianca Belair also being on SmackDown, just makes perfect sense going forward, and I quite like this. It's going to feel fresh seeing the Street Profits on Friday nights. I feel that they could be better suited to SmackDown for years to come. Last but not least, on round one was Charlotte Flair to Raw, and it just goes to show you the Queen is seen as one of the big stars within the whole of WWE. Even when she's injured and she's not there, she's still a top draft pick, and she will be remaining on Raw. For me, this is great news, and I'll explain why I'm quite particularly a fan of this later on as we go through some of the picks. But moving on to the second round, Raw, of course, gets the first draft pick again. They get Braun Strowman at this time from SmackDown. Braun has been shown up on Raw anyway, so this kind of makes sense going forward that Braun would be there. This, of course, as well keeps the feud with Keith Lee going as well, which I'm really excited to see. So I'm quite pleased with this. Braun Strowman on Raw, be fresh, be different. Hopefully the monster will emerge once again on Monday nights. Daniel Bryan was the next draft pick to SmackDown, and I tell you what, he's not on TV at the moment either, but just goes to show how important Daniel Bryan is to SmackDown that they would pick him straight away. And he's a big star. He's someone that could be in the championship picture. I'd like to see Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns somewhere down the line when he does return. It's a shame he's no longer with Drew Gulak, but Daniel Bryan is a big star. He's someone that could be anywhere on the card in SmackDown. He wouldn't feel out of place. Like I say, he could be someone that could slot straight back into your main event when he returns. Raw then, with what I thought was a surprising draft pick, drafted Matt Riddle. Take this what you will. There are rumours going around that Riddle and Seth Rollins don't get along, so maybe there's something in that. We'll have to wait and see. But Matt Riddle, despite that, is on Raw. Some fresh matches that could be there for Matt Riddle, of course, and I think it could be a better fit for Riddle and his character. I'm looking forward to seeing a match potentially with Matt Riddle and Randy Orton somewhere down the line. I think that could be an interesting match should that happen on the Raw brand. Kevin Owens was drafted to SmackDown. One that I said that should happen. I still think it's the right move. At the moment, he's seen as a babyface. He could be a top babyface on SmackDown. I see KO against Roman Reigns happening before the end of 2020. I look forward to seeing that match as well. Raw, an acquisition for them was Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, I must admit, I think will be good for him because being on Raw, it's a fresh scenery for him. He's got some matches he'll want. I know he's desperate to have a match against The Fiend at some stage. He can do that on Raw, so it's good to see that he'll have that opportunity. But I do kind of feel that Jeff Hardy was better suited on SmackDown. I felt that he will be more of a priority on the card on SmackDown, where I feel on Raw, he may get lost in the mid-card somewhere. But despite that, I am quite pleased to see that Jeff Hardy hopefully will have some fun matches. And this week on Raw, already got to show it on his first night. Styles, Rollins, that triple threat match was absolutely fantastic, and looks like he'll have a feud with Elias going forward. But we'll come more into Elias very shortly. Raw, of course, on the round 3, actually got Retribution. I kind of wish that they were undrafted. I feel that would have made more sense. But still, they were part of Raw. They were going against the Hurt Business. It does make sense. Retribution on Raw. Interesting on the graphic, though, Mercedes Martinez isn't on there. She must be heading back to NXT. Going then to SmackDown, and of course this is a controversial one. Lars Sullivan is on SmackDown, of course. Vince McMahon expectedly high on Lars Sullivan. It seems to be surrounded with controversy, even in the rumour mill right now, but Lars Sullivan is there. Time will tell how it's going to play out for him. We'll have to wait and see with that one. Keith Lee, though, will be on Raw, and I'm really pleased to see that, as I said. Of course, him and Braun Strowman will be a great match. Potentially The Fiend as well. There's many exciting matches. AJ Styles, I'm really excited to see what the future holds for Keith Lee. There's definitely some main event matches that will be on Raw going forward with Keith Lee. King Corbin will be remaining on SmackDown. I'm probably going to lose viewers here, but I think this is the right move. I like King Corbin, and I think that SmackDown is a great place for him. It feels suited for King Corbin to be there. If he'd come to Raw, he would be instantly lost in the shuffle. Nothing against Corbin, but he's got a place that suits him on SmackDown, and I think that this is the right move for him. Alexa Bliss was picked then for Monday Night Raw, and of course she will be with The Fiend. Wherever The Fiend goes, Alexa Bliss follows, and this is why I'm happy Charlotte Flair was drafted to Raw as well. For the first time, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss will be on the same show. They've had a match before. I thought it was a decent match back at Survivor Series a few years back, but maybe, just maybe, these two can actually have a program during this calendar year. I really want to see that happen. Raw then on round 4, Elias returned on Raw, looks to having a feud with Jeff Hardy, of course, and I'm quite pleased to see Elias does his best work on Raw in my opinion. He was a big time player there, the concerts, he's got more time to do this sort of stuff. I think that Elias will be a better fit on Raw. He's come back as a heel, everything is in the right place for Elias. I think the future is bright. WWE stands for Walk with Elias. SmackDown gained on round 4 their Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn. Very pleased Sami Zayn is going to be on SmackDown still. His work since coming back has been phenomenal. I look forward to seeing what he's going to do. He's got some new exciting matches to look forward to with the IC title on SmackDown. My only critique was that it was left so long. The Intercontinental Championship feels like it's less important. Sami Zayn feels like it's less important. I really hope Zayn takes this, uses it in storyline going forward on SmackDown, because he's so good at that whiny heel character that he needs to really make a deal with this when it comes to SmackDown going forward for the next number of weeks, and really saying that he's undervalued. I want to see that storyline play out. That then would make this forgiven. But for me, the IC title, it's my favourite title in WWE. I love the history, I love the lineage, I love what it represents. It deserves better than being round 4 of the WWE Draft, in my opinion. It was the last championship, apart from the 24/7 championship, to be picked up, and I think personally that deserves better than what it was given. Raw acquired Lacey Evans, and I must say this was a great move for Raw and a great move for Lacey Evans. Remember last time she was there, she was so much hated as a heel. She's a heel once again. Before she was on a pay-per-view main event, let's not forget that. Good things could be on the way once again for Lacey Evans. Now she's back on the red brand. SmackDown got Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura helping that tag team division. Street Profits against these guys. We've seen it once, but I tell you what, a nice little program with those two teams could be fun rather than just a one-off match. And I'm sure that the SmackDown Tag Team Division will look stronger going forward with these two being a part of it. Raw acquired Sheamus, which for me was a nice little touch in there. I do think Sheamus needed to move to Raw, but to see it take place in the draft here, I just hope he won't be lost in the shuffle. There's so many heels on Raw, but Sheamus has a lot to offer, and the Celtic Warrior still can provide a lot going forward. So I'm looking forward to seeing what his role will be on Monday nights going forward. Round 5 of the draft, Nikki Cross, of course, is now going to be part of Raw, moving from SmackDown. Great move, this one. Of course, the story of Alexa Bliss isn't finished. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out on Monday nights. We've not really had the rivalry side of it yet. We've just had the teasers of the breakup and stuff. Now we can really see things deliver with these two, and I'm looking forward to that playing out on Monday Night Raw. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode losing to the New Day on Raw. Well, of course, that means they're going to SmackDown. I think that this is a good move for SmackDown's tag team division. We've not seen them against the Street Profits. Now we've seen them lose against the New Day, and I'm sure we've had that match previously in the past. So now we can have Ziggler and Roode against the Street Profits. Them two on SmackDown, they'll get more TV time. I think this is a good move all round for everyone involved here. Looking at Raw as well, the 24/7 champion R-Truth will be running around. That championship is comic relief, and I mean, it's questionable if you see it as comic relief, but that is better suited on Raw to break up the show, so it's good to see that that will remain on Raw. Truth is brilliant, I must say that. I do think Truth is awesome. Some of the stuff that's booked for the Roll-Up Championship is not always great, but I must admit, R-Truth as a character is fantastic, and I'm pleased to see he does remain on Raw. SmackDown acquired Apollo Crews in round 5, and I think this makes sense. I think Apollo has done very well since his move to Raw, but now moving to SmackDown, I think that there's so many big names that have moved to Raw that I do actually feel a little bit that he would have been lost going forward. So now he's on SmackDown, he can go for the IC title. I think Apollo Crews versus Sami Zayn, that feels like a fun match to see somewhere down the line. Raw acquires Dabba-Kato. Now, of course, that's Shane McMahon's Raw Underground. Maybe Raw Underground will continue going forward, but either way, Dabba-Kato will be a part of the Raw roster. It'd be interesting to see what he's going to bring to that roster. Round 6, Titus O'Neil with his one yearly appearance in WWE, and of course, I'm not saying on screen, on a graphic for Raw. He's going to remain on Raw. He has been in Raw Underground. It's usually, I think, he's given a bit of novelty for his charity work and stuff that he does for the company, why he's given such a position on the draft here, because he is above some names that you'd think he shouldn't be above. But Titus O'Neil will remain on Raw. I say on Raw, probably main event or just doing charity work. But Titus O'Neil is still with the company. Surprise to everybody. Carmella, of course, she's untouchable, and she'll be untouchable on SmackDown. Great move, this one. She stays on the blue brand. Remember, Corey Graves is on commentary on SmackDown, so I didn't see her making any move anyway. But looking at the two divisions now, I think Carmella fits in better on the blue brand. She'll get more TV time, and I think that hopefully she'll be in for some sort of push going on, hopefully towards the end of this year. Raw still keeps Peyton Royce, which is an interesting move. Of course, Raw's division now is looking quite stacked when you look at the women's division. I hope Peyton Royce will be able to still find TV time, still get that push. I'm a little bit worried because it felt like she was going to get a big push. I think maybe a move to SmackDown may have favoured her, but she remains on Raw, and I hope that she still will find that TV time because Raw is 3 hours, and of course that means there's more room on TV for these ladies, and Peyton Royce has been doing a good job over the summer. SmackDown acquired Aleister Black. It's great to see Aleister Black move to SmackDown. The disappointing part of this, why was it left so late? It really makes you feel that Aleister Black is not seen in such, it's not really seen in high regard, it feels, within WWE if you look at the pecking order here. But hopefully this is just a smokescreen. Hopefully it comes to it. Aleister Black can prove a point, go on SmackDown, get some good TV time, maybe get himself a bit of an elevated push. I could see him in the IC title program going forward, and I'd love to see him versus Zayn. They're both heels at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see what will happen going forward. I even would like to see Aleister Black paired with Zelina Vega. I think that could be an interesting partnership and will give both of them something to do on TV going forward. I'd like to see that very much, actually, but I'll come on to Zelina Vega very shortly. But Akira Tozawa, of course, will be remaining on Raw as well. They need that 24/7 championship picture to continue, I guess, because there's only 3 or 4 superstars that go for it. Tozawa is one of them, so he remains on Raw. Round 7, which of course was done on Raw Talk, Lana, the #1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship, believe it or not, winning the Battle Royal, will remain on Raw. She'll have that one championship match, and she'll be continuing to be put through tables by Nia Jax every week. Sounds like a win-win to me. SmackDown acquires Natalya. Of course, Lana and Natalya did break up. Natalya, I think, will be better suited on SmackDown. Some great matches over there for her. Looking forward to the likes of her versus Sasha Banks. Should be an interesting match. Also, her and Bianca Belair on SmackDown should be good as well. Next move for Monday Night Raw was Riddick Moss. Now, of course, Raw Underground, he's a part of that. Perhaps he may still remain a part of that. We'll have to wait and see going forward. Riddick Moss was expected some sort of big push this year. It'll be interesting to see what will happen with him and how he'll be suited on the Raw brand going forward. The Riot Squad moved over to SmackDown. Interesting move, this one. I'm quite happy for the ladies here. I think that they'll get some good TV time with this. I think on Raw, it is looking a stacked women's division on Raw. They needed to move some people over to SmackDown. Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, I think is a good move for SmackDown. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Riot Squad will bring to Friday nights. And Arturo Ruas was the last mover on Raw Talk. Of course, he will be a part of Raw Underground, I imagine, but he could be a part of Raw as well. It'll be interesting to see where some of these guys are going to fit in, because I have been impressed by their performances in Raw Underground. Of course, they've been picking up wins there. It's going to be interesting to see what they do when they actually get to, Raw actually on the roster amongst some of the people when they face a Keith Lee, a Matt Riddle, superstars like that. We'll have to see how they will fare when it comes to those sort of matchups. There has been some free agents that have been called up as well and signed to brands. Zelina Vega will be on SmackDown going forward, a move I wanted. I really wanted to see Zelina Vega on SmackDown. Like I said, a pairing with Aleister Black I think would be interesting because she could be the mouthpiece for him. They are together in real life. I just think that they could help one another out in this situation because both have kind of been a bit lost in places. So it would be interesting to see. Zelina Vega, a top talent. She has had a Raw Women's Championship match, but she's lost convincingly a couple of times when she's done so. She's been a bit mucked around with the storyline with Andrade and Angel Garza over the summer. I'd like to see a bit more of consistent booking going with Zelina Vega going forward. Aleister Black as well, like I said, since turning heel, just lost consistently to Kevin Owens. If they worked as a partnership, I think it could work. Tamina will remain on SmackDown, and I do believe before we had, did we have a stable with Carmella, Natalya and Tamina at one point? I'm sure that we did. Potentially that could be a reunion. We'll have to wait and see down the line, I don't know, but Tamina, she's always around on SmackDown, she's not always on TV, so this one, it doesn't really surprise me. I don't think it will make much difference to the women's division personally. Eric of the Viking Raiders will be on Raw, which I'm sure that means Ivar will be when he returns also, so that will help the Raw Tag Team division, of course, and the Viking Raiders against the New Day could be a fun match somewhere down the line. I'd look forward to seeing it when it does come around. Of course, we have the Hurt Business, Retribution. There are some teams on Raw, so hopefully that this will feel a bit more of a stacked division going forward. And Billie Kay will be on SmackDown as well. probably the last we'll ever see of her, bless her. I don't really have high hopes, unfortunately, for Billie Kay, I'm afraid. She is such a comedy talent. I do enjoy Billie Kay's work, but I'd like to see, hopefully they find a role for her on SmackDown, but she's been left so far down the draft. She's been taken away from Peyton Royce. I do fear what her future does hold, but hopefully I'm proven wrong on that one. But that's all pretty much the names on the draft there. One that was undrafted, which is interesting. What next for Andrade? Now, of course, you look at Andrade, he's been on Raw. Of course, he's been in that mess, the team that's been with Angel Garza and Zelina Vega. I look at things, he is actually with Charlotte Flair in real life. That makes you think perhaps he will stay on Raw. But at the same time, you look at it, that Raw division looks stacked. I don't see where Andrade fits in. I do feel he would be a jobber at this point. Maybe he'll be on main event. Of course, someone needs to face Humberto Carrillo on a weekly basis. Maybe that's what they're going to do. I'm not quite sure. But SmackDown would be better for him. Of course, right now, you're in the Amway Center every week, so maybe it doesn't hurt. I mean, Naomi has gone to Raw, while the Usos will remain on SmackDown. That will be interesting. Although Jimmy Uso hasn't actually been given a brand right now, but he is injured at the moment, so I imagine when he comes back, it is likely, according to Dave Meltzer, he'll go back to SmackDown. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they will break them up, and Andrade will be on SmackDown going forward. At least he'll get more TV time if he was to be on the Blue brand. Or, just maybe, he could go back to NXT. This idea excites me because Andrade was a big talent, a former NXT champion, arguably in one of the best takeover matches ever against Johnny Gargano. So I've, in one way, would love Andrade to go back to the black and gold brand. I think that that will be the best place for him. I think that he could almost reevaluate that character, re-establish himself as a top talent that we know he can be. I think under Triple H's guidance, I think Andrade would have a golden future. I think championships would be in there for him. I would really like to see him go back down. Can you imagine Finn Balor, Andrade, seeing another match with Johnny Gargano? There's so many other talents that are merging through on NXT as well. I think that it would be an exciting time if Andrade was to go there. But if I had to put a prediction, I imagine he'll be on Raw. I say on Raw, I imagine he'll be on main event if I had to make a prediction. But I certainly wanted to throw the idea out there that NXT is always an option. But that's the WWE Draft anyway 2020. I do like the way that this has played out overall. I think that certainly things feel a lot fresher, and I'm looking forward, once we get through these this SmackDown this week, which I know we've got a few Raw versus SmackDown matches, we can then have a fresh clean slate from next week. Maybe we can finish off some of these feuds that we've currently got going at Hell in a Cell. And after there, everything just feels fresh going forward. And I feel that it is looking good overall. I still think the tag team division is lacking a team or two. I would like to see one or two tandems maybe thrown together just to make more of the numbers. It will be interesting to see how they're going to play out. Perhaps as well, I mean, you look at the women's division, I think that's freshened up as well. I really think that's exciting. Can't wait for Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. I think that's going to be awesome on SmackDown when that does take place down the line. Raw, I think, has done what it needed to do when you look at it as a brand. I think it's got more big names on the show. I think this is an idea of trying to get it to boost its ratings. I think that it will do so. I think it will accomplish what it wants. I think Raw now will at least go back to 2 million viewers each and every week. I think the superstars that they have acquired over there have got some of the more exciting storylines currently going on in WWE. I mentioned The Fiend and Alexa Bliss just to name one. I think for me that's my favourite thing on WWE programming right now, and I like seeing how that relationship is developing each and every show. So that for me will be enough to just make me say I need to see Monday Night Raw. Looking for SmackDown as well, and they've got a lot of the rising stars for the future. It feels like it's going to be the show that builds the new stars going forward. And of course with Roman Reigns, which arguably right now is the main event player in WWE, I think that they will make some big names when someone eventually does beat Roman Reigns for that championship. Maybe Big E is the person. Big E certainly has all the tools in there of what it takes to be a mega star, and I think he's been split from the rest of the New Day for a reason. I think that there are promising things in Big E's future. I really want to see that main event player that we know is in there with Big E. Elsewhere as well, I mean, you've got some established stars as well, like, Daniel Bryan when he returns, Kevin Owens being over on SmackDown. I think that SmackDown is looking healthy going forward on Friday nights. I think that they will continue to do a good job on Fox, and we'll have to wait and see how things will play out with storylines over the coming weeks and months. But that's the WWE Draft anyway there for you. you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Thanks to everyone that's been checking out this channel. I really appreciate everyone that's been viewing the videos, especially over the last week. For those people that have been there since the start, I really appreciate everyone that continues to support SCW on here. Please, I look forward to interacting with you on the comments. What were your thoughts of the draft 2020? Were you happy with some of the movers and the shakers? Are the superstars that you think to yourself, hang on, I wish they were on this show instead? What about Andrade? Where do you want to see him end up? Of course, it's not been announced as of yet where he is going to be as of recording. I'm looking forward to finding out where he will end up being. Do you want to see him on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT? Please subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell as well for notifications when videos do get released. And as well as that, like I say, if you do like the video, it always helps if you like the video for me, because in that way, I know that you are enjoying the content that is put out there. But that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Hope you have yourselves a great day. Thank you for watching SCW. I'll see you guys next time.